Good day, Miss Rocky. This is Caryl Cabatcha reporting about optimization of energy systems. Our body is always in need of energy, even in every little thing that we do. Energy is the only source for the body to function well, even in eating or sleeping. During exercise, energy needs to be used in a faster state compared to its resting state. Our body gets energy from what we eat in forms of carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Carbohydrates are the sugars, starches, and fibers found in fruits, grains, vegetables, and milk products. They are called carbohydrates because in chemical level they contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Fats are stored under our skin. It is an insulation for the body to prevent heat loss. Energy is released for these to break down. Protein is one of the fundamental building blocks. It repairs and increases the growth of body tissue. The ATP cycle, or adenosine triphosphate, is a really important short-term energy storage compound in cells. ATP contains three phosphates, and when it is converted to adenosine diphosphate, a phosphate is removed and energy is released that cells can use for processes like movement, synthesis, and active transport. Phosphocreatine energy system, or PCR, is broken down releasing a phosphate and energy which is then used to build ATP. Recall that ATP is rebuilt by adding a phosphate to ADP in a process called phosphorylation. The enzyme that controls the breakdown of PCR is called creatine kinase. The lactic acid energy system. This system uses carbohydrates as its only source of fuel and relies on anaerobic glycolysis for its production of ATP. Glycolysis is the breakdown of glucose to produce ATP. In anaerobic glycolysis, the glucose sourced from glycogen in the muscle or glucose in the blood is turned into lactic acid as it produces ATP. Aerobic energy system. In this system, the body uses oxygen to aerobically break down fats, carbohydrates, and rarely protein for ATP synthesis. During exercise, the body usually uses aerobic glycolysis, which is the breakdown of glycogen.
Good day, my name is Chiara Urquico, and first I will talk about health behaviors. Behaviors that affect health are eating habits, getting enough sleep, and managing stress. Eating habits. One should receive proper nutrition by eating well regularly. Green leafy vegetables, seafood, meat, fish, chicken, whole grain, and enriched bread can provide proper nutrition. As for getting enough sleep and managing stress, enough sleep is important in maintaining one's health. An approximate of 8 hours of sleep is needed by an individual, and exercise relieves stress and reduces anxiety for a person. So now let us move on to health risk factors. The following are health risk factors to look out for: family history, cigarette smoking, hypertension, high cholesterol count, high blood sugar levels, obesity, and physical inactivity. Physical activity. Proper eating, stress management, and getting enough sleep directly affect one's performance in physical activity. When a person is able to get proper nutrition, ample sleep, and is able to manage stress, it leads to better performance in physical activity. Now let us move on to the different types of eating. Fueling for performance, emotional eating, social eating, eating while watching TV or sports events. Athletes usually practice proper nutrition by fueling performance. The athlete carefully chooses food that will be beneficial for the sport that he or she is preparing for. Emotional eating, on the other hand, is not healthy because one has the tendency to overeat in this kind of situation. The same tendency can apply to social eating. Let us move on how to self-assess in health-related fitness. Health-related fitness is composed of these 5 components. First, body composition, muscular endurance, cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular strength, and flexibility. Body composition refers to the ratio between lean body mass and fat body mass. The traditional method of measuring body fat is through the skin fold measurements. The values from the skin fold areas are compared and computed using a table. Using a measuring tape, the circumference of the abdominal area, hip, iliac, and waist are measured. A waist-to-hip ratio is then generated to determine lower, moderately high, to high-risk individuals. Muscular endurance test measures muscular strength. It is recommended to people who come from a sedentary lifestyle or physical inactivity. The push-up test and half sit-up test are examples of this type of testing. Now, cardiorespiratory endurance is tested indirectly using estimation. Response to submaximal workload heart rate is used to estimate maximal oxygen uptake. Now, muscular strength refers to the greatest amount of force that can be generated from a single maximal effort. It is popularly tested with a 1 repetition maximum, wherein one is tested how much weight he or she can lift. Lastly, flexibility test uses the sit and reach test.
Good day, this is Girlie Figueroa and I'm going to discuss about the barriers to physical activities, participation, and one's diet, and how to set fit goals based on training principles to maintain HRF. How to set fit goals based on training principles to achieve and to maintain HRF. Being fit in and out is the fruit of the effective training, and it takes time before you achieve it. And here are the principles that will guide you towards achieving it, which is the overload principle, the progressive principle, and the specificity. For dieting, the barriers to a proper diet might be the resolve, which is they can't stop themselves to eat only healthy foods. The second one is the time, and the third one is the finance, which is the cheapest food is more affordable and you have no choice but to buy it. And the last one is the availability. It is the one that is regularly sold in your cafe. Progressive principle is about increasing the load or by adding the weight of the exercise, lengthening the time, and the difficulty of the exercise. Specificity principle. It is about performing the skills depending on what aspects or what kind of goals is it that you want to achieve. For example, if you want to be a good swimmer, you need to perform the skill in that given sport, which is swimming. So you need to swim more often to be a good swimmer.
How to set FITD goals. FITD goals is a great way of monitoring your exercise program. It stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type of activity. FITD goals vary per individual. The best way is to first know your thresholds or the limits of what you can do per type of activity. Check for personal limits in frequency, intensity, time, and type of activity. From there, one can set targets or increases in performance. School and community resources in case of an injury or emergency. For immediate and efficient response when needed, the following protocol must be observed at the start of classes. First, know where the school, classroom, and other venues' exits are. Second, familiarize yourself with the school. Know where the open areas are. Third, determine whether the guardhouses are located. Fourth, find the location of the clinic. Fifth, be aware of similar facilities that are nearest to the school. And lastly, have all emergency numbers ready. How to analyze physiological indicators such as heart rate, rate of perceived exertion, and pacing associated with MVPAs to monitor and/or adjust participation or effort. Heart rate. The heart rate is an indicator of level of participation in physical activity. The intensity of activity is measured by the percentage of the maximum heart rate during exercise, which literally means the maximum number of times the heart contracts in 1 minute. An easy formula to determine your maximum heart rate based on your age is called the prediction equation. Age minus adjusted maximum heart rate formula is equal to 220 minus your age. This is not too accurate, however, as the maximum heart rate actually varies for different people. The aging factor affects this formula, and maximum heart rate decreases as one gets older. A more accurate measure of heart rate will be what is known as the maximal stress test. This test makes use of treadmill or exercise bike. Another accurate way to measure the heart rate is through heart rate monitors, which use either watches or chest straps attached with devices that measures one heart rate and calculate its percentage against your maximum heart rate. Rate of perceived exertion. The rate of perceived exertion, or RPE, can measure exercise intensity and can be combined with the prediction equation. A number is assigned to coincide with the subjective feelings of exercise exertion from 6 to 20. Based on the given number of RPEs, there is an assigned ratio scale. The higher the number given by the exerciser, the higher the level of exertion is. To use this text, the exercise is asked as to what he or she thinks the level of exertion of the exercise is between 6 to 20. Here is the table of equivalents.
You have learned from Chiara how to analyze physiological indicators such as heart rate and rate of perceived exertion. I, Leslie Salvador, will continue by reporting more of physiological indicators. Calibration of the rate of perceived exertion. To calibrate this, the actual heart rate of the student must be checked. Check pulse, count how many beats are there in 15 seconds and multiply by 4. Or check the pulse for 30 seconds and multiply by 2, or just count the total number of beats in an actual minute. Zone training. There are 4 heart rate zones in aerobic training. First is the moderate aerobic zone. It uses minimum of 50% maximum heart rate to 59%. It is an introductory zone to start a program for sedimentary people who wants to improve their fitness. Weight management zone uses 60% to 70% maximum heart rate. In this zone, the fat is burned using moderate intensity that can be prolonged. Aerobic fitness zone uses 70% to 80% maximum heart rate. This is for the active people who have already undergone physical activity using the lower zones for several weeks. Cardiovascular fitness and health will noticeably improve under this zone. Peak aerobic performance zone using 80% to 90% maximum heart rate for athletes who are in the stage of improving their anaerobic threshold. The last physiological indicator is moderate to vigorous physical activity, or called the MVPA. With moderate goals of fitness, one can train in the moderate aerobic zone or the weight management zone. With vigorous goals of fitness, one can adjust to train in the aerobic fitness zone or even the peak aerobic fitness zone. How to observe personal safety protocol to avoid dehydration, overexertion, hypothermia, and hyperthermia during the moderate to vigorous physical activity participation. Exercise and physical activity is good for the health, but anything in excess or executed improperly is bad. Certain conditions such as dehydration, overexertion, hypothermia, and hyperthermia may occur if exercise and precautions are not in place. Dehydration or loss of fluids will result in the loss of coordination and now fatigue. To avoid this, students must drink fluids before, during, and after exercise.
Good morning, Miss. I am Robelle Ramos and I will discuss the continuation on how to observe personal safety protocol to avoid dehydration, overexertion, hypothermia, and hyperthermia during MVPA participation. Let's start with the overexertion. It may come in the form of any exercise greater than the capacity of an individual to handle. Training might be too frequent, intensity might be too hard, time might be too long, and type of exercise might be too much, or simply the FITT goals. These factors all depends on the current threshold of the exercises. As a general rule, to avoid overexertion, training must start from a low level of exertion before graduating to higher levels. So next is the hypothermia. Hypothermia is a condition of low core body temperature. Training in a cold environment can lead to hypothermia, shivering and being cold at the extremities, or blood is shunted to the body core to conserve heat. To prevent this, one must layer clothes and cover parts of the body with other types of clothing. Next, hypothermia, a product of losing too much water and heating up because of exercise. It is also called heat illness. There are three conditions. First, the heat cramps. It is where heat cramps may attack dominant muscles such as abdominals or the calves. Next, exerciser looks pale, skin is cool and clammy, and pulse is weak and rapid. These are the signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion. They may not be sweat because the body is conserving body fluids. And last is the heat stroke, where victims may have dry, red, hot skin. To avoid hypothermia, drink lots of fluids and avoid overexertion. How to organize a fitness event for a target health issue or concern. A fitness event can come in the form of a short single training or exercise session, a group or batch of sessions extended over a period of time, to a full-blown event with many participants. The most common health target is for cardiovascular endurance. And below are a few steps that one can follow in order to organize a fitness event. First, identify a goal, target, or health issue to address. Fitness events try to address health concerns such as weight management or obesity. It is important to have a target in mind in order to plan for a proper activity. Second, do your research. Do your research and learn the basic terminologies and aspects of that area. If the concern is obesity, for example, learn or review about such concepts such as eating habits, health risk factors, and body mass index, etc. The third one, identify a location or venue. One of the major concerns for any event or activity is venue. You will need to secure a venue for the event. For fitness activities, courts, multipurpose halls, swimming pools, function halls, etc. can be utilized for activities. Just be sure to have these venues reserved for such activities. Fourth, build your team. Identify members of your team and give them different tasks. You are the team leader, but you must not do everything on your own. Learn how to delegate tasks for efficiency and economy. And fifth, documentation. Before, during, after the event, it will proper to have documentation. This comes in the form of pictures, videos, and written records. Having a record and portfolio of the event will make it easier to repeat, and further events may have improvements based on the feedbacks from the original event. Health and fitness related career opportunities. Nowadays, a career in health and fitness is very valuable. If you enjoy sports and exercise, and you feel that you to work in this field, do not let anything stop you. Below is a list of possible careers in the health and fitness sector. The first one is a physical education. Be a PE teacher. If you prefer to be engaged in more activities and games rather than classroom lectures, this career is for you. Second, sports administration. Work full-time in the sports field. If you enjoy competitive sports, you can engage in the management side and be right in the middle of all the action. The third, personal training. Be flexible in your schedule. A personal trainer manages his or her own time and schedule. You can offer one-on-one training, group exercise, using several sports or exercise that you have studied. Number 4. Coaching. If you had experience being a competitive athlete, as a member of the varsity team, or if you are interested in handling a team of your own, being a coach offers an exciting path for you. And the last one is sports research. There is always something new in the fitness and health field. Sports research and development is very dynamic and offers a wide array of areas to work on.